Hi there, welcome back to the Noah Presgrove case. Today I just wanted to highlight some key discussions from the case discussion group on Facebook. Credit to Tim Daniel. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to say first of all, welcome to those who are currently here in this live premiere format. If you are present, feel free to make use of the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And for anyone by the end of this video, let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or not. If you do have any questions, drop a comment down below under the video and I can respond back in time. You'll also find a pinned message by me with additional links if you do want to support this channel. And if you want to catch up on recent coverage, previous videos of other matters, top right corner of the screen there will be an I symbol. Click on that. You'll get a drop down box and then the option of videos including the full playlist. So, the Noah Presgrove case is getting quieter by the day. But that's normal. It's what happens with every case out there. Every case will have a lifespan, a shelf life. I don't mean in terms of importance, I'm just talking about in terms of interest. You can only stick around for so long until it becomes old news and blah, 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 and on and on. Some people stick around from start to finish. Good on them, credit to them. As for me, I try and hover around as long as I can for the right reasons, of course. In terms of this comment here, I just want to make a little brief reference. I did actually do quite an important eye-opening video yesterday. After all this time going by, interesting videos are still coming about, so just be sure to catch up on it. It was to do with a new theory, the eye for an eye one. You might be wondering what's that all about. Well, check out last night's video and you'll see. But let's just focus on the discussions today because, to be honest, it seems like the casual discussions do better in performance and people showing up as an audience. I don't know why, because I would have thought the more creative videos or more original ones would have been harder hitting, but doesn't seem to be the case anymore. That's unfortunate. But let's catch up here. 14 hours ago, Tim says, I find myself going back to this person's anonymous post of many of Tyler Hardy's original comments. I believe Tyler Hardy is the second 911 caller. Yes. At 5:50? No. At least how it's been worded in articles over and over again, 5:53. Right, that's how I've heard it worded. But was the first Tyler to stop as he was driving the Ford F-150, which was easier to turn around than the semi, which had to go to town to turn around. I'm just reposting it in case anyone else is trying to remember what his account of arguably being first on the scene to know, depending on which timeline was following. If anyone jumps out, please feel free to discuss here. Right, so Tyler Hardy in the Ford F-150, and then the other person called just Tyler. The Tyler was like at the front of the queue or line of vehicles passing on by, and Tyler Hardy was behind, and I guess probably right at the back of the line, so he was able to pull over easier. But as for the Tyler, although passing the body first time before Tyler Hardy, not able to stop because of the traffic behind and being in a bigger vehicle. So, just in case anyone was confused, the first call was around 5:43 a.m. Now, I think some person tried correcting me in recent time, but I'm just simply relaying it from how it's been worded officially in the past and in the consistent news articles, okay? Around 5:43 a.m. and then maybe 5:46 when Tyler Hardy made his first attempt to call in to police, but there was no signal. So 5:53, one final time, Tyler Hardy was successful. That's pretty much it. And these are the posts by an anonymous member with screenshots. Tyler Hardy spoke out on a post on the Justice page. Here are some screenshots of his conversation. I'm posting, highlighting some of his last statements because he describes hearing a first responder in a high-vis vest to tell someone to leave. I think these statements are important and everyone should be aware of them to make their own judgment. Now, Tyler Hardy said he didn't see Kaden. Kaden said he didn't see Tyler Hardy, but Tyler Hardy said he heard a person in a high-vis telling another individual to leave the area. But who the hell would that be? But to be honest, in fairness, Could Renee Milan be caught up within this? Because another post on Facebook talking about, Renee Milan, did she actually attend the highway scene? And then after go down to the party house as like a part of Kaden Pressy's timeline, even though it may have not been acknowledged by her or someone else that she was present at the scene, even though Kaden Pressy said she did attend the scene for 30 minutes and then got to the party house and, told Kaden about it. But that would have been around maybe 6 a.m. onwards or so, and Tyler Hardy would have been there at 5:53 onwards, right? So it kind of ties in line there on that basis. As for anything earlier on, when you had the first wave set of truck drivers, unnamed individuals, from what Kaden Pressy has said, Kaden Pressy may have been ordered to leave along with Isaac, Bryle and Mikey. Tyler Hardy may have not seen that event, but saw a similar one afterwards, past 6 a.m. or around when Renee Milan was coming on down and stopped at the scene and then ordered to move on. You get what I'm saying? Is it double vision? Or is it two separate events which are very similar to one another? It's quite interesting. Let's just see what the screenshots show. So unfortunately, I don't know why it puts me on that side. Let's move it to the middle, or maybe not. Let's not. Will that do? Right. I just wanted it centered the screen, to be honest. So these screenshots from a post thread on the Justice page, which is quite important. The Justice page, where it's been heavily moderated, run by Noah Presgrove's family, and Tyler Hardy, a key person within the case, one of those callers, was engaging on here in the past. And some of you may be familiar with it, but there's no harm in archiving this because you never know what may happen to it. And it might rejog people's minds, it might add on or link to recent things, what we've heard of. And for those that have never seen it before, it helps. Tyler Hardy says to Alicia Lee, "Where have I said any different? What are my discrepancies? I have said the same, me, the semi-driver, and Jack Newton until law enforcement arrived. So please tell me where my story changed, because make no mistake, you are the one cutting people down when they question him. Your son, Kaden Pressy, is a 20-year-old adult who left his friends laying on the side of the road because someone told him to. Because I can guarantee at 20 years old, no one is telling me to leave my best friend, not to mention his times don't add up." I mean, it seems like Kaden Pressy was attacked at one point. Oh yeah, bad Kaden for walking away, listening to a much grown-up older adult tell him what he can and can't do. Kaden should have stayed and remained, and because he didn't, that's really bad. No, it's not, right? Where you call it as a form of respect, listening, backing off, you don't want things to escalate. At the end of the day, why would the focus be on Kaden only? Oh, because he's the one behind the wheel, so he decides how we get there and back. But what about Brylan Sweat? What about Mikey Lair? What about Isaac Rojas? They left the scene too. Why aren't they getting the same treatment? Why is Tyler focusing in on Kaden only? Kaden may have left because he was told to, and maybe he didn't want any things to escalate. It's a bad time, shocking. Why make it worse? Why make it harder? Back away. I know, if it's, a stranger you've come across who's dead, laying on the floor, it might not seem as questionable. You don't know that person, so you don't need to stick around. But Kaden is a friend to Noah Presgrove, so of course you would want to stick around. But not everybody may want to stick around and be reminded of what's going on. They might not be able to take it. Some people may flee, run away, fight or flight. It happens. There's different outcomes for different reasons. But you've got to take in mind that once Kaden's present, Jack Newton is already there. Jack Newton being the best friend to Noah Presgrove, it makes sense for the best friend to remain. As for friends and casual friends, if they stay or leave, it shouldn't matter as much. In terms of the closeness, as long as there is someone familiar on site and present to be at Noah's side, dead or alive, that's what should matter. Do you need a full crowd and a full audience gathering about? What good does that do? Too many hands does the dishes. When you've got a scene, do Do you want lots of people gathering around, staring and looking, or do you want to just step back a little bit? Create a bit more space so people can breathe and process. It shouldn't be a major red flag, in my opinion. Just like how Kathy Bingham targeted Kaden Pressy about, why was Kaden the one to return back to the house and watch TV like nothing happened? We're forgetting about what Brylan, Mikey and Isaac did, going to sleep. So it seems a little bit selective, doesn't it? That Kaden Pressy gets questioned in all these different ways, but there was other people doing the same or similar things who get a free pass. It doesn't seem right. You're going to question one, you might as well question them all for that balance. And if not that, don't question anyone at all. I think it's because of the age factor, but take in mind, it sounds... I mean, how old was Kaden Pressy at the time? 20? I thought he was like 19 years old. I'm sure it was 19. Either way, still under the age of drinking, because you got to be 21, but that's a separate thing. But I guess everybody will react differently. Some who may be more standoffish may stand their ground and think, don't you dare tell me what I can and can't do. I'm going to stay here because that's my friend. But others may be like, you know what, I don't want to cause any trouble. This is an upsetting time. Jack's already here, the best friend to Noah. That's fine. We'll back off. There's different ways. So yeah, maybe Tyler Hardy is speaking from his own mindset of what he would do. But that's kind of biased. Everybody's different and how they react. Got to acknowledge that. And yeah, Tyler kind of like projects it on himself that if someone told me, I had to leave my best friend, I would stay put. But that's the thing. Kaden was a friend to Noah, not a best friend. Got to acknowledge that. Anyway, what else do we have here? To mention his times don't add up, Kaden's timeline, because when you're drunk, you don't just jump up and go. You have to catch your bearing. Then he says he looked for his shoes, then has to drive there, but all those people have time to leave before the crude oil hauler initially passes the body, then comes back. So you're telling me your son shows up by 5:30? Nope. That's not how it's been worded from what I've heard within the interviews. 5:20 and left by 5:30. A time frame window which does not, conflict with when Tyler and Tyler Hardy passed on by, because that was after 5:30 and when Kaden already left the area. But take in mind, depending on how it was worded in the past, older timelines and stories changing, maybe I've not been aware of that back then, and I might be more aware of the more recent timelines, so it can conflict now. Anyway, if he has to gather his bearings and shoes and drive there, and that semi-driver didn't see a slew of cars because he had to go to Terrell and come back, my 911 call was confirmed to be 5:48. Is that 5:48? Which one? Is this Tyler Hardy speaking himself? Well, it would be Tyler Hardy. 5:48. Confirmed. Which call was that, though? The first or the second call? The failed one or the successful one? Because how it was worded in all the articles and news programs over time was 5:53. It's always been that. So 5:48 could be a more refined time, but is that the successful call or the first failed bad signal? Either way, more conversations continue. Luana says to Tyler, you have what you saw then. Doesn't eliminate something before you arrived. You can be right, but so can he. Separate situations. The time frame window does not conflict. Kaden had his own experiences and encounters at such a time, and then later, once Kaden already left, Tyler Hardy had their own. It shouldn't be that difficult, should it? Tyler says, ma'am, I promise you his time is off, but hey, you were there, so please tell me I'm wrong. How is Kaden Pressy's time off? Is this all down to being told to leave the scene? And it just happens like Tyler Hardy saw that, or something similar, and assumes it was that person being told to leave? Kristen, Didn't you pull up on scene in a service truck? Did you ever reach out to the family in September? And Tyler, there was no way that there was 3 or 4 vehicles there and all gone in 5 minutes when you think a truck driver drove past and turned around and came back. Right, so maybe Tyler Hardy is referring to a bigger picture with Kaden's timeline of after 5:30, but for Tyler Hardy to say that, oh, what, you, Kaden, got there at 5:30 and then 10 minutes later you left, but by then we would have already been there and we would have seen you, as it doesn't quite add up. Well, I think maybe Tyler got that misunderstood, at least from how I remember it. 5:20 arrived, or 5:21, left by 5:30. And then beyond that, when Jack was supposedly remaining there with the 2 truck drivers, what happened? Because after 5:30 is supposedly when that recorded footage takes place, recorded by supposedly a truck driver, which shows policeman, volunteer firefighter, 2 others. And the police guys removing Noah's black shorts and replaced with white ones, but not put on the body because he ended up being in the middle of the road. So maybe there was a small time frame window of those individuals present and decided to just chuck the shorts in the air, which is a bit silly, and flee the area before those truck drivers came on down. And once they arrived or passed by, no one was there, no vehicles. It would have been a tight frame. I think it was yesterday or the day before on Reddit, they said it's like a 13-minute time window for it to take place. It seems quite a stretch, it's pushing it to be able to fit it all in and remain undetected, I'll be honest. I'm just adding on with recent discussions. Luana, I thought the 911 calls were confirmed at 5:53. Well, the final one was, originally, but Tyler says, that is what I'm trying to make you people understand. His first story, I was the one that told him to leave, but I did not see him. Then he said, no, it wasn't the pickup. What? Tyler is admitting he was the one that told Kaden to leave, but I did not see him. How can you tell someone to leave if you can't see them in the first place? It's dodgy language, this. But he said, no, it wasn't the pickup. It was a service truck and an oil taker. And it was a van trailer. In no way am I saying he had anything to do with it. Just saying everybody says his story hasn't changed, and it has. I mean, it's the thing. Depends how long you've been around for to hear how the timeline's changed. I'll be honest, when you compared the June and the July interviews of Kaden Pressy, Partners in True Crime, public, month before, the police one, private, it is different. The timings are different. The days, as in how many people are at the party, are different as well. I don't know if it will be cleared up, but you've seen my side-by-side comparison, haven't you? It's a bit dodgy. And that's just being honest. If one person says one thing here, but then it changes and it's different in the next time they talk, well, there's clear differences, but why? A month's difference of things changing. Kristen, didn't you pull up on the scene in a service truck? Did you ever reach it? Oh, so that was repeated, that. There's no way. Right. What's this one? There's no way that there were 3 or 4 vehicles when you think a truck driver drove past and turned around, came back by 5:45 and never saw anyone else. I was never in a service truck. It was a half-ton pickup, F-150. I've heard it as a Ford F-150. It would be just easier calling it that, to be honest, wouldn't it? We got a truck here, we got a service truck, we got a whatever truck, this truck, that truck. Can't we just call it by the fucking name or the brand or something? Ford F-150. So much easier, right? Side by side, Polaris. Things like that. It's so much easier. I don't know why people don't do it. Anyway, Luana, I said you can be right, but so can he. And what he saw before you arrived, not arguing that you're wrong, just considering what could have happened. I don't know if I have seen some of these comments before, though. A Ford, right? That's what I'm trying to make you understand. His first story, I was the one that was told. Wait, why is it feel like it's on repeat? Understand his first story. I was the one that told him to leave, but I did not see him then. Yeah, what the fuck? Maybe the person that reposted it kind of spazzed out and did it many times. But I'm done arguing with you because you will never believe anything but what you want. Wow. Very immature assumption, trying to understand, but typical. Well, there we go again, the childish behaviour, throwing toys out the pram. What's this one? My 911 call was confirmed to be crude oil. Okay, so this is a bit different. Let me just get some water. Anyone watching right now in the comments or live chat, let me know what you think. Maybe we've gone over this before briefly. I don't know if it would have been on the Reddit page, like a repost, or on a different Facebook page. But either way, some key points just to highlight, see what people are thinking right now, see what I can add on to it from what I know of, any counterpoints, any anomalies, who knows. So, let's kind of cut out some of it there. And the semi driver didn't see a slew of cars because he had to go to Terrell and come back. My 911 call was confirmed to be 5:48, so the crude oil hauler was before that, and he had passed the body and come back. Your son's time doesn't make sense. I did watch your podcast. You're the one coaching him in the background of things he remembered. Kind of like he says, Renee Milan was on the scene. She may have drove by, but she never stopped and was on the scene. I'm not accusing your son of anything except him being confused on his times. Right, okay. Right. Renee Milan, at least from one of her official statements, she herself didn't mention whether she stopped at the highway or not. It's only what Kaden Pressy has mentioned. And I believe it was in the Partners in True Crime interview. It was. Now, Kaden made reference to Renee attending the party house onwards, later on, past 6 a.m. No specific time was given, but more named individuals were present with Renee, her husband, daughter, Stephanie Milan, and Stephanie's boyfriend. In the Partners in True Crime public interview, those extra names were not mentioned, but a specific time was. As for when they arrived, 6:30 a.m, I believe. And in terms of the timing of when one of the daughters, Jasmine Milan, partygoer, contacted her mother, Renee, about the news of Noah's death was around 5:45. I'm talking very rough, okay, because it was between something and 5:45 or 5:45 up to a certain time. But people were saying online how that actually ties in more in line with Kaden Pressy's timeline in general, rather than Jack's. So that's kind of raised a few eyebrows over the time. But from the Partners in True Crime interview, Kaden Pressy said he was told by Renee Milan, I guess it was a part of a conversation at some point when arriving, that she stopped at the highway for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is quite a lot of time, isn't it? You got your daughter at the party house crying and upset, but you want to spend more time at the highway. That's what Kaden Pressy said, 30 minutes. Could that change? Who knows? What would she have been doing anyway at the highway? Well, I did do a map analysis discussing the possibilities and stuff, trying to work it all out. You can always check my video out previously. It's all there documented and the different theories and ideas. For Kaden Pressy to be at the highway for like 10 minutes or so and then told to leave, but someone like Renee can remain for longer. Why is that? Oh, because seen as an older individual, a fully grown adult, so, we've got to listen. Oh, because they're different gender, more lenient. You would have thought that they've been ordered to leave as soon as possible, so there's not like a big crowd and audience. If someone like Kaden Pressy shows up, whether they've been introduced by Jack to the truck drivers or not, they're told to leave. But then again, if it's different sets of truck drivers, let's put it that way, two different pairs, the first pair could have been very strict, the second pair could have been more lenient. But it does seem a bit weird, like 2 sets of truck drivers, 2 pairs. Whatever. Let's move on. What's your thoughts, people in the chat? Do you think that Renee Milan truly arrived at the highway, stopped, stayed there for about 30 minutes? Do you think that's true? That's what Kaden Pressy said, but in a private interview, there was no mention or acknowledgement of it. And from Renee Milan's official statement, there was no acknowledgement of it either. So, It's just worth taking into mind because it's quite important. If you're allowed to be on scene and there for quite some time, what was Renee really doing? Trying to get the updates on what's really going on. Anything influenced by wanting those firearms afterwards once she got to the party house? I wonder. And then for Caleb to have him passed on to him, right? Anyway, him being confused on his times, because I remember a first responder with a high-vis vest telling someone to leave. I just don't know who he told, but please tell me where I've lied. Right. So Tyler Hardy is saying he remembers seeing a first responder with a high-vis jacket telling someone to leave. A person. But Tyler Hardy himself is also saying I was the one to tell Kaden to leave. But I didn't see him. Yeah, that's a fucking mess. What else? Dakota. That would have given a 30 recreational time before you arrived. 5:15, some says he's dead. Fast forward 30 minutes, 5:45, that's when you're there. What happened during this 30 minutes prior to you discovering the body? I'm not attacking you, I'm just curious. Maybe the big dogs. What the hell? I can't, but everyone is saying everything one person says is the truth and everything's wrong. Tyler, and he had to wake up and realise what he heard and what was going on and look for his missing shoes. Well, I believe Kaden in his public interview said it took like 2 to 5 minutes when searching for his other shoe, and then in the end just decided to go, I guess, with one shoe on and one off. Go to his car, drive there. How long does it take to get from Party House to the highway scene? 5-10 minutes. 5:15, arrives at 5:21 or so. That makes sense, possibly. Especially if you're driving a bit faster, considering the event, right? Tyler says everybody else had to leave, and the truck driver had to go to Terrell and turn around and come back, which would take 10 minutes and get back up there and call 911. And of course, so if you think about it, that way it raises questions in his story. Not really. What else? I can't imagine the trauma he has and going through. Are the hardest things to determine in life. Oh God, life stories. I never said anything about where or what, just about his story has changed. Well, could we just have like a before and after of how it was originally worded and how it's worded now? I mean, I think I was really the only one. And yeah, people have done it with Jack Newton, but in terms of like bullet pointing it, or do you know, like a photo before and afterwards? I don't know. I know I've done it though. I've done a before and after comparison of what Colton Newton stated. Oh yeah, I was at the party. By the way, no, I wasn't even there. Never attended. I've done a side-by-side comparison of that. You would have seen it yourself as a witness. I've done the same with Kaden Pressy. Not that I used the footage or material because, I don't want to cause any issues there, but I listened to it, I made notes, and then I bullet pointed it on the maps. The Partners in True Crime interview, the timeline, and then the private interview timeline, and it was different when comparing. I visually show it. It's okay, people out there saying, well, what was said then is different now, but can we see it visually, like a screenshot of what was stated by the horse's mouth, and compare it? It would help, I think. The same understanding and acceptance that is shown to Kaden should also be shown to Tyler at this point. You have no proof that Kaden Pressy's story is the accurate facts or that Tyler's isn't. I'm so sorry, I totally believe you, and I've known this from the start that there's no way that his story jived. It is not his fault at all. I think his mother ran with it more than anything, and that's just too bad. So, Micheline. Interesting. Micheline Walgren, I believe, is the individual that was Jack Newton's biggest cheerleader. I could be wrong. I'm sure I've heard the name Micheline before on my channel. They've got a slightly tilted head in the profile picture doing that, like, what do you call it? The fish face pose with the lips. And they're a bit argumentative, had a few issues, the way they talk, but then again, they're not the only one. Come across a few in recent time. The odd frog as well. Ha ha ha. But, at the end of the day, we cleanse it with time. Either they piss off themselves or they might just settle down. Who knows? Stamina. That's it. Stamina as in how long you go on for, how long a whine, a tone occurs, but it all dies down eventually. I've seen it myself in the past. It happens all the time. What do we have here then? Ashley Chadwick says, why didn't seek out the family to make sure your version on events? This is in response to Kristen and Tyler Hardy. Oh, well, this is interesting, isn't it? Ashley Chadwick, the cousin to Noah Presgrove, Noah Presgrove family member, to make sure your version on events were told. At least it could have given us something to help navigate this. What everything looked like, some sort of time frame, who all may have stopped. September, October, November. Wouldn't you want someone to be forthcoming to you and your family to inform them of your take and even possibly express their condolences? If it were your child family member, Jasmine and Renee came and kindly spoke with us in September and gave us their version of events. Even when this was still so fresh for Jasmine, Kaden spoke with us in October, his version. That's supposed to be a positive? What else do we have? Tyler, don't question him, they will block you. Grow up. Mayhem, I will say exactly what needs to be said. His story has changed and I know exactly what was seen that morning because I was there from 5:45 till 10 and was one of the first people to call. You might have been there from 5:45 onwards, but if Kaden Pressy left by 5:30, it's fucking irrelevant, isn't it? But Tyler's saying, well, the story's changed. So what time then was Kaden wording it as? All I've ever heard it was 5:20 arrived, 5:30 left. That's all I've ever heard it worded as. How else has it been worded before that? How else? Can anyone explain? Can Tyler explain? It's okay saying someone's wrong or it's not adding up, but explain, elaborate. Seems like a lot of humans lack that within the community, when we're dealing with problematic people at least. Right. Tyler responds to Ashley Chadwick, because I spoke with law enforcement about 5 different times. I'm sorry that they've not told you anything, but I talked to them so they could use the information for the case. I didn't know that the family would not be informed by law enforcement. I mean, I wonder why Tyler didn't think of reaching out to the family himself. Denise Rogers-Arnold, I believe another problematic individual when it comes to their outlook towards me, I'm sure. Kaden Pressy said, someone told him to leave. Well, that was the first time. The second time his story was that the service truck driver told him to leave. Mr. Tyler Hardy said he told someone to leave. I really don't know how much more black and white you need. Mr. Tyler Hardy said he told someone to leave. Tyler Hardy said he told Kaden to leave, but he didn't see him. Can you not see that? We've just read it above. A disaster. Did you or didn't you see Kaden there that morning, and did you see others? I think at the end of the day, what the agreement was, Kaden didn't see Tyler, Tyler didn't see Kaden because of different times. But there's no harm in looking back over the confusion back then. Actually, as an innocent bystander, you didn't feel compelled, Tyler, to say to family, hey, I'm sorry, but I was the one who found him and sought out help. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer those again. So sorry, it's not against the law to speak to family and express condolences. I'm not trying to come off attacking by any means, and I apologise if it seems that way. We just have questions too. This is our real life. Noah isn't coming back, he's gone. This is literally our reality. I believe Mr. Tyler Hardy, I just want to see whether the discrepancy on Kaden Pressy's part, I have zero doubt that Tyler Hardy was there at the time. Okay. I don't mean to sound like an a-hole, but my name has been out there from day one. Anyone could have reached out to me. Oh, anyone could have reached out to me, but by the way, I can't be bothered reaching out to you. No, it's one-sided. How odd is that? Tyler Hardy's attitude here kind of reminds me, to a small degree, of the... Oh, what's his name called? Is it Riley Strain? Something Strain. Stain. Strain or Stain, Nashville, when his friends, fraternity brothers, didn't really reach out to the family. The family had to reach out and beg for answers. It was one-sided. Tyler says to Ashley, I'm sorry you feel that way, but less than 3 weeks after finding him, we came home to our house on fire. And 2 weeks after that, another personal matter hit. So during the months of September, October, November, December, we were dealing with a lot ourselves. I'm not making excuses, but I can see why the friends would come to the family and not a stranger. I've never hid from being the one to find, and after these groups were made, I did answer questions if asked and tried to push the truth from when I arrived out. I'm sorry I didn't directly contact you, but if you remember, I was answering questions in these groups, and then Kaden made his post basically calling me a liar, saying I tampered with the scene. When we confronted, he said it wasn't me he saw, but because that day I had answered that yes, Noah was naked by the time Kaden had post saying Noah was wearing shorts. Well, Kaden was there earlier, saw shorts. Something happened in between that. Recorded video shows tampering with evidence, shorts being removed. And then after that, that's when Tyler Hardy come on down. So there was a middleman, a middle factor, which impacted what Kaden saw compared to what Tyler saw. It shouldn't be that difficult, really. If there's truly footage, if it could be released public and it can bridge the gap between the two different timelines of two different people, it could really help, but I guess it's never going to be shown. But it's interesting how, in a way, Tyler starts backing off here, a bit backtracking, come out with well, you can't call it a sob story because if bad things have happened to them, bad things have happened, but, you know, the attitude has changed slightly, the atmosphere. Okay, I'm not trying to be an ass. If your family have any questions, I'd be happy to meet you and answer them. I mean, what's happened with Tyler Hardy since? The last thing I remember was Mallory, the wife, defending Tyler's husband when it came to that Daily Mail article where it was kind of like misinformation to an extent. Julianne says to Tyler, maybe there were a few people there before you arrived. They left and were long gone as you got there. I mean, it's a fair point. What else? 10 minutes to turn around? That's him. Do you drive a semi to go down the road like 4 miles, turn into town and go around the block, town, back? Yeah. Denise, it's a semi trying to turn around on 2-lane highway. Were you really being sarcastic about that? Right, so we've got some more attitude issues and drama. Same old. Ashley Chadwick. Says Tyler, thank you. I hate that you have to deal with a lot. Early on, certainly we would have reached out to you earlier if we had your name. Having no name led to a dead end, basically. When your name came about from social media, we were all like, who is he? I'm glad so it seems like it was all sorted out in the end. And that's pretty much it for that. Let's go to the comments. I don't know if anyone found that interesting or what, but, you know, adjust this. All comments. How does it pan out? Jamie says to Tim, do we know where and when Tyler Hardy found out they never saw each other, or did they hash that out in the DMs? I know the outcome was that they never saw each other or the corresponding vehicles. I don't have an answer, maybe someone knows. He never saw her. Who's her? But did overhear someone tell someone to leave, probably meant him. Jamie, great discussion. I mean, okay. Oh, Tyler Hardy overheard someone in a high-vis, saw him in a high-vis telling someone to leave. But then why did Tyler state it as, I was the one to tell someone to leave, or Kaden? It was weird. It was such shit language, basically. That's what causes the suspicion, really. I'm sure some people would have seen it themselves. Dina, has anyone heard from the other Tyler? Law enforcement, anyone? I feel like he called 911, then disappeared. Was it ever figured out who told Kaden he had to leave? What do we have here? Click on that. Is this Reddit? No, it's Facebook. Gary, who's Garoy? I discovered him. It was so sad. Gary Graves. Is that really true? Really? Tyler's out of this. Been good. Joyce Burgu says, I couldn't imagine what that must have been like. Sorry to hear that. Everyone is trying to figure out what happened to him. Alicia Lee responds to Gary. Were you hauling a cargo trailer? I'm so very sorry that you had to see such a tragedy. Gary Graves. Right, so you got Tyler and Tyler Hardy, who arrived at the scene. Kaden already left before that. Kaden left because he was told by a truck driver to leave. Was it Gary Graves? And why are the comments here so casual? Isn't it important to know more about this Gary Graves, or is it just an attention-seeking pretending to be a witness, who knows? But if this was really, really true on that basis, then it reinforces the fact that you've got two different pairs of truck drivers passing on by. The first set and then the second wave after. I've never seen this before, I'll be honest with you. Tyler Hardy has said he also stayed at the scene and gave a statement. His boss also showed up at the scene. I'll not put his name on here, but many people know it. Who? What time did Tyler Hardy's boss show up? Wasn't Tyler Hardy's boss called Tyler? Oh boy. The person who posted this comment on YouTube. On YouTube? I don't see anything posted on YouTube at the moment. Did not see anything. He had previously commented on reggae type videos and also some short video. He likes the attention. I'm surprised Alicia engaged with him at all. But there you go. More nonsensical internet hysteria. Was it Tyler Hardy's boss or the other Tyler's boss? There's too many bloody Tylers, I think, to be honest. We need Tyler Feller to come on in and bless everyone. Jamie, no idea. That's why I'm asking Christina Thompson. I think some people have said Christina Thompson is a bit of a mysterious individual in terms of their personality. And I think, to an extent, there could be a chance. As far as I understood, Mrs. Hardy, Mallory Hardy, came on Facebook and stated that Tyler Hardy was on the phone with a co-worker boss, I don't know, prior to making his 911 call. The dear comment he made with him, I've not heard anything about a boss except from Jack, right? He made a few comments about a boss. Do we know who this boss is? Pretty sure George and you, I know the other Tyler's last name as well. I've heard he has been fired. Is that true or rumour? Why would he be fired? So, you know, if people are saying, well, we know the last name, but we're not going to reveal it. Oh, we're playing that game all over again. We'll just give the first letter, just so it differs from Tyler H. TH equals Tyler Hardy. Tyler what equals, you know, it'd be so much easier. I don't know why humans make it so difficult and dragged out, right? The other Tyler's boss. Oh boy. Yes, end of June. Both Tyler and his boss fired. Nothing to do with the case. It was just something both of them had been doing for a while, which their company noticed. Pink slipped them with call it a side gig activity. Is that Sam? Joyce. His boss was not there. Jack Newton thought his boss was there, possibly other Tyler. I do remember it being worded at some point that Tyler Hardy's boss was called Tyler and Tyler was there in front and Tyler Hardy was driving behind. That's how it was worded at one point at least. Joyce, okay, it could be the first caller, Tyler boss, but not Tyler Hardy's boss. Fucking hell. Oh, no. Christina, the biggest thing that jumps out to me is the first responder in a high-vis vest telling someone to leave. Kaden gave a description and the names of these first responders. Kaden gave a description and the names of the first responders have been said before, and his description looks a lot like one of them. I believe Kaden was on the scene when the first volunteer firefighter were on the scene with the two Tylers. What is Christina Thompson on about? When it comes to Kaden Pressy never mentioned the names of those first set of truck drivers. Ken said he doesn't know who they are. He didn't really give a clear description. So it's a mystery. So I don't know where Christine is getting her stuff from. Bloody hell, once again. Bloody Christine. Marcy. Tyler Hardy says Renee Milan was never there, but she says she was and that someone told her to leave. Oh, fair enough. Okay, is this like an extended screenshot? Maybe it is. Or this could well be a separate one. See, it's the thing. I had a screenshot, a statement from Renee Milan about her coming down to the party house, but she didn't mention anything about the highway, though this appears to be a different one. So can we save this just in case it's needed? There we go. And I'll take a look at that afterwards in case we need to do a comparison. But Renee Milan's statement at some point in the past, the blatant lies this kid is saying about me, this kid, what, Kaden Pressy, blows my mind. I've been honest and told exactly what I did from the time I got my daughter, Jasmine Milan's call, until that night that I got home. I've no reason to lie about anything. Just weird that Kaden feels the need to lie so much. I don't know if he's attention seeking and wants it to be more than what it is. I was on scene for maybe a few minutes trying to check on Jack. Why are you checking on Jack of all people? Shouldn't you be more so concerned and checking on your daughter Jasmine Milan, who's at the party house crying? Now, it seems like Renee confirms that she did attend the highway scene and was present for a short time. A few minutes. Okay. Kaden says 30 minutes. A few minutes to 30 minutes is a big difference, but there seems to be consistency, at least, that what Kaden said is what Renee said about attending the highway scene, at least. Got told to leave, so went to the house. So, if you weren't told to leave, you wouldn't have gone to the house then. When would you have? Would you ever have? Because would they have been in a rush for the guns? Why was Renee Milan so focused on the guns, supposedly? They need to be collected and rounded up so they can be passed on to Caleb and then handed back to people after. When the firearms that were collected up at the party house were of the partygoers that were present at the house. Why would their guns need to be collected up when they are in possession of them themselves at the place? It sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Now, for Renee to say, I was on scene and then I was told to leave, could that link on with what I was trying to say? If this is 6 a.m. onwards, up to 6:30, when Kaden said that's when Renee got to the party house with husband, with Stephanie and Stephanie's boyfriend, maybe what Tyler Hardy says about he overheard or roughly saw a person in a high-vis jacket telling someone to leave was Renee. Seems closer that in terms of the timing of when that occurred compared to Kaden Pressy, because when Kaden Pressy was told to leave, that was before Tyler and Tyler Hardy got to the highway. So there's no link there, separate events. But when Tyler and Tyler Hardy are present around just before 6 a.m, but remain there onwards, supposedly up to 10 a.m, there's enough time in between that for Renee to come on down and then be told to leave. And she says she was told to leave, so maybe this is to do with link on, I should say, with, Tyler Hardy overhearing someone being told to leave. This links more than the Kaden Pressy debacle, right? Anyway, I'm glad I'm seeing this. This is the first time I'm reading this post because I've seen a previous statement, but it wasn't as detailed as this. Hopefully people can see everything on screen. If not, I'll try and zoom in. Apologies if I didn't do that before, right? Feel free to pause the video, read it yourself, take it all in, right? So after being told to leave, went to the house. All the boys were asleep, per the girls, and the girls were in the driveway crying. In the driveway crying. Kaden Pressy said that they were at some point in the kitchen area crying. Renee is stating that all the boys, including Kaden, were asleep. Yet Kaden Pressy said when he got back to the party house, the other guys went to sleep. Kaden sat on the sofa watching TV and didn't go to sleep because he couldn't. So why is Renee saying that Kaden did go to sleep? What Renee is stating here is the equivalent of, I guess, Sarah Long, who stated, well, I got there 7 or 8 onwards in the morning and I woke everybody up. But they weren't asleep by then. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. What do you think in the chat about this? It's a big contrast to what Kaden has said. I don't know how Kaden thinks he overheard any conversations me or Jazz had when he only came out of the house right before he left. He did in fact ask what about these guns in his Jeep, and I said I would take them and get them to Jack's. Oh, Jack's AR-15 to return it back to Jack. Right. So this is all being flipped onto Kaden Pressy. Kaden Pressy was the one to initiate the conversations of the firearms and what happens with this and that, and it wasn't Renee coming around rallying the troops and telling people what she needs and what needs to be moved and what should remain. This is a massive contrast, isn't it? I don't know if this is causing any headaches, but we'll continue reading. Anyone that knows me knows guns scare the hell out of me. I don't know what kind they were, just big ones. I don't know why me taking guns to the owners is such a big deal when we all thought at the time Noah was hit by a car. But Kaden Pressy said that Renee said not to clean up anything because the police would already know what's happened. So why remove guns from a potential scene, potential evidence? Oh, it's a car or a hit and run anyway, so nothing else matters. Oh, so you just move everything that isn't relevant, even though it could be at a later point, but oh well, never mind in the moment. Seems a little bit reckless, personally. Okay, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why me taking firearms to the owners. Well, what firearms were taken and returned to the owners? Because, at least from what Kaden Pressy said, the firearms that were rounded up was Jack's, and obviously Jack wasn't present at the house at the time, so it would need to be returned back to him. But I'm sure Jack said he locked his firearm in his vehicle, and he would have used his vehicle to get to the highway. So why would he leave it at the house if it's already in his vehicle, unless that was a lie? That's another issue, isn't it? Unless he used an alternative vehicle to get to the highway and left his other at the house where the gun was locked up. Depends. The only other firearms that were mentioned by Kaden Pressy rounded up was Brylan Sweat's hunting rifle, Isaac Rojas' 12-gauge shotgun. Not many, were there? Isaac Rojas was at the party house, and so was Brylan. So why would their firearms need to be collected by Renee to be returned back to the owners when the owners are already present? Right? That's what sounds a bit silly. Anyway, let's continue on. I've told Noah's family the same thing. He, in fact, did not clean up beer cans. Right, so Kaden Pressy said he was the one that came up with the idea of clearing up the beer cans to protect everyone so they don't get in trouble with the social hosting laws and underage drinking. And Renee said, well, Kaden said, Renee said, don't move anything because police will already know. Yet here Renee is saying that Kaden did not clean up the beer cans because those had already been picked up by the time I had got there. They've already been picked up, and then once I got there, it was cleaned. Right, so how would you know who did it and who didn't? A bit weird. I don't know where that I told him to take the rest of the beer came from. Right, yeah, we've briefly heard about that. The only time I talked to the kid, Kaden, was literally telling him I'd take the guns to the owner. Oh, now you're saying the guns to the owner. But earlier you said you're rounding up the guns to the owners, more than one, and now you're saying owner. Why is it? Multiple people or one? One person with multiple guns or one? A bit of a contradiction, isn't there? What else do we have? Rest of the beer came from selling guns to the owner. Facepalm. I think the kids were in shock or something because the whole recollection of that morning is off to include times. I think it's absurd that others come forward sharing their recollection of what happened leading up to and after. Can be confirmed by law enforcement, and they're bashed like they killed Noah. But one kid says something and is praised a hero. Weird shit to say the least. Bottom line is, I mean, I guess the other difference is you got Kaden Pressy, who is a party goer and a witness to an extent, telling the story from his side, the timeline of what he knows of, supposedly. And then you got Renee Milan, who wasn't even a party goer, wasn't even there at the time of the party. So there's that. When you get the likes of the Stevie Howards and the Sarah Longs, they may have things to say, but it's not the full story because they weren't there themselves either at the time, right? Even when the news came out about Noah's death, they weren't there in the moment. So there are some limitations which need to be acknowledged. Very interesting that, though. Thanks. Tyler didn't see her before. Let's see. Tyler didn't see her before she was asked to leave, so she wasn't there for 30 minutes or whatever, like previously stated. If she was there that long, Tyler would surely have seen her. So was the person who Tyler didn't see but was heard to leave, or is there another person then besides Renee? Christina, why did you delete this? Delete what? Well, that contradicts the video, so hard to know which one is accurate either. Christina, can't have it all. Also, Tyler Hardy said no one else was on the scene. Screenshots. You can't even see what's worded there. But supposedly, this was deleted from this thread, maybe. Is there a reason why it was deleted? Oh, is it reposted here? Let's see. Bloody hell. No, Presgrove's Army. That page not been there for a while. What's this to do with? July 18th. Oh, apparently 2 truckers happened upon Noah's lifeless body on the side of the road. One of those truckers apparently said another vehicle came by and a kid popped out at the passenger side, ran over to the body like it wasn't clearly visible that there would have been a body there, being it was being shielded by 2 trucks, but the kid seemed to know where to go, scooped up the shorts and replaced them with another pair, then got back into the vehicle and left. Ellie is supposed to be aware of these very important details, but it turns out that's not the case whatsoever, and it's still not clear why those details have fallen off the chronology of events. And if Ellie is reading this post, the trucker is still waiting for you to give him a call. Right. These truckers are obviously not Tyler or Tyler Hardy. It's the first pair, the first wave of truckers that were there who also told Kaden to leave, I'm guessing, and it's after when Kaden left, another vehicle drove on down, a person got out of the passenger seat to quickly remove the shorts. But if any of that is true, is that linked on with the recorded footage that these truck drivers, or one of them at least, who witnessed a person in a car stop and a kid get out? But why would it be a kid removing the shorts when Kaden Pressy, from what he saw, the hidden recorded highway footage after 5:30 but before 5:45 or something, where it showed a policeman, volunteer firefighter, fully grown adults being responsible for removing the shorts, not a kid. So why is it stated here that it was a kid that removed the shorts? Right? It just seems so weird. Just a random person pulls up and gets out. And now what's this one? 1 hour ago, but is it really 1 hour ago or is it old? I can't see a date. Noah Presgrove's Army. Tara Andrews. Do we know who the kid was that showed up when the truck drivers were there that morning waiting for Ellie? Trucks shielding Noah from the road. Wait, the truck drivers that were there in the morning waiting for the police to arrive. Well, that sounds more like Tyler and Tyler Hardy then, doesn't it? Because they were the ones that made the effort to make a call to police. The supposed first wave of truck drivers did nothing. Right? Anyway, shielding Noah from the road. So unless you knew he was there, you didn't realise what was going on. Okay, so there was a truck that pulled up to where the truckers were and a kid jumped out of the passenger side, ran directly up to Noah as if already knew he was there. Very few words exchanged, and then the said kid got back into the passenger side of the truck and then drove off. In what direction then? Truck drives a little ways down, turned around and went back to the scene. Kid ran straight back to Noah, took the shorts laying beside him, and got back into the truck and drove off. So one was left thinking they just totally took off with the shorts, but then the next day shorts are found a little ways down from Noah. The next day? What? Oh, fucking hell. What's going on here? Were thrown out when Noah was dumped, so he went to exchange them. I don't understand what's going on here, to be honest. It sounds a bit messy. So who originally told this story? Has Tyler Hardy confirmed or denied any of this? Seems like extremely important details. These were some old screenshots I had. I didn't want to cause any trouble. Looks like most have been debunked anyways. Right, that's the thing. There might be a lot of old stuff in the past which is quite eye-opening, shocking and interesting, but if it's been resolved by now, then there we go. But this is the thing. How well known is it that this and that has been debunked? Not everyone's going to know. That's why when I do my videos on YouTube, whether it be mysteries, updates, debunkings, I make it very clear, the title, the thumbnail. So you look at the Kenny Veach case, mysterious keyhole, reptilian eye. Wow, what a dark mystery that is. And then an updated one saying it's been solved. And then the M Cave rock symbol on a rock. Oh, that's been solved since. And the mysterious cache at the mine shaft. Well, that's been solved, supposedly, since. I'll make sure to do updates, but I think when it comes to Facebook, it's not quite the same way, is it? In terms of organisation, post. You haven't got the same methods to be able to clear it. Anyway, George says, there's something I've been struggling with since it got posted. The details appeared to predate Kaden Pressy's version in terms of being publicly shared. So, of course, what comes to mind is, did this in any way provide the groundwork for Kaden Pressy's reveal? I remember seeing these. Do you remember where that original account came from? Like, who said that stuff about someone jumping out of a truck? One has a name on it, the other just shows a pic. What? Do you remember where you first heard the story? Yes, there were comments posted back in May by a local which had sparked my interest. So that comment that everyone seems to be circling back to and was done on behalf of someone who had claimed to have more detailed info. So that's why I've been struggling with those versions came first. Now, I didn't hear about that back then, so I don't know the full picture. Whoa, why did it kick me off? What the hell? And Angie. I remember Jack Newton told Kaden that he was the one to leave when Kaden and them showed up, and Jack Newton made it clear that he was the one that told Kaden to leave. And Beth. Just thinking, could this confirm that Jack found Noah first, then runs home and tells the others before Tyler arrives at the scene, and then Jack and the others arrive when Tyler does, just trying to make it make sense? Well, I thought that was how it was originally worded. I mean, have we gone through all the comments? We probably did. I said, it's just a focused video today, primarily. We'll just go back to the top, the border of Noah Presgrove. It still seems, still to this day, people that have been around and maybe new people that come along, the stories, there's not like one solid, concrete, universal understanding within the story and how events played out. Will we ever get that? You know what, when you think of other cases and how they go about a certain set of timestamps, a certain set of individuals, dates, markers, in a certain order, categorized and universally accepted, agreed upon and confirmed. Yeah, we ain't seen that here. You're not getting the full-on official interviews, official press conferences and releases. If you had that type of material, and it was reiterated several times, as in what truly happened up to a point, that would be good enough, but we ain't got that either. So it makes everything a lot more problematic, at least to my understanding. That the only bit of consistency what I've seen today is with Kaden previously mentioning that Renee was at the scene of the highway and then came to the house. Renee acknowledging that, but in terms of the timing of it all, Renee there for a few minutes, Kaden saying there for 30 minutes. Once again, discrepancies, time differences, time frame windows, bit of a mess. You know, we can look into who's responsible for Noah's death and how that played out, but then the second stage is the mystery of the highway and the shorts. It's like a two-step mystery. You got the mystery of trying to figure out, it might even be more than 2 steps, possibly. You got the first mystery of how did Noah die, when did he die, the time of death, and who was responsible. That's 3 key questions. And the next step in the mystery is the highway, where he was found, and the blood loss. Bit odd. Then the next mystery, sub 1, is the shorts. Why were they tampered with? Why did they change? Isn't that a bit odd? And then the final mystery would be the miscellaneous stuff. Who was there? Who was told to leave? At what time did they show up? Some stories not quite linking well with one another, conflict, and then beyond that point, it's just not looking too good. Has progress been made? Well, in terms of me covering the case on my channel and making progress in trying to learn, yeah. In terms of official progress, publicly at least, on the surface level, seems far from it. But things could still be going on in the background. But you can let me know what you think. Is there a certain bit of material, screenshots today, what you've seen today, which you've never seen before? Let me know. Do you have any questions you agree or disagree with anything mentioned? Let me know, and we'll see where that goes. But I think we'll leave it there for now. I just wanted to take a look at this. It was a key discussion. It needs to be highlighted and credited. and not everyone uses Facebook, so there you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, good night for now.